scream because it's DJ Lance! Got it! This is your couch to have a nap on while we're doing this.
Wow, hello, friends. Wow.
Come on in, have a seat. So, how's it been?
It's been great here, you know. It's like, I'm not from St. Louis, so I like, you know, summer's humid. I don't like them humid, but I'm used to it. You know. I think the weather's been really great here. Some people said it's a little hot, but I like it.
I actually kind of like it too. It was nice last night.
It was very nice.
And you were in St. Louis and didn't bring Ted Drew's, which is a whole other thing you and I could talk
I'm
about.
lactose intolerant, so I've only had Ted Drew's for a little bit in my youth.
Sorry, that's an obscure thing for anybody that's from St. Louis. All right, so
It's frozen custard, and it's I think it's
it's pretty damn good.
World-
You want to, if you're going through St. Louis, you want to stop by and get some barbecue and try that. Okay, so
But also, I'm sorry we keep talking about this.
No.
Now Clementines is the thing.
Clementines.
Yeah, it's an ice cream, and
Yeah.
Mark Maron, like anytime he's in St. Louis, like he was there, like earlier this year, and then he just went on his podcast and kept just going on.
I missed that because I actually listen to Mark from time to time.
Yeah,
You guys,
Clementines.
yeah, Mark Maron podcast, comedian. Dead crap, dead crap. Clearly nobody wants to talk about ice cream, Mark Maron, or custard, frozen custard. That's okay. All right, so who wants the first question? Well, actually, I'll start. So
Yeah.
what do you got coming up? You got anything coming up? What's your next show?
Yes, I didn't actually bring one of the books, which I should have at
That's
the
okay.
booth, but if you guys want to come by and see what we've got, it's we have a little bit of Yo Gabba Gabba stuff there, and a little bit of the DJ Lance stuff, which we're kind of working on, because I was working on trying to do a show in 2020, and then, of course, the pandemic hit. Exactly.
We were stuck at home. Okay. Who wants to go with the first question? Who wants to pop it? You got it? Go ahead.
Hi, what's your name?
Rihanna,
Hi, Rihanna. Good to see you.
good to see you too. What was it like working on Yo Gabba Gabba?
Busy. It definitely were fun sets because there were so many people that would come and different guests and bands, and had a huge wardrobe room and people could try on different stuff. Like, you know, I always had to wear that one-piece suit, so, you know, I didn't. There were a few times that I got to dress up, but people came on the set excited because it was just like kind of like playing. So, you know, it was fun, but it was long days sometimes.
That wasn't your original question. So before you got in here, her original question was, because we were joking about drugs, which we shouldn't have been, but I'm inappropriate. Your question was, what's it like dancing with puppets and
Well,
muppets?
yeah.
Because that's what I'm curious about. And
I was gonna wait till a few questions were asked.
oh, I am so sorry, but the suspension of disbelief, or do you just get into it?
It's definitely suspension.
Working around
The live show was much different because the way it was set up on TV is like, you know, I had the boom box and they were little toys to me because I put them down and then I brought them to life and they did their interaction. Every now and then they would beam me down or they would beam up. And then, so when we were the same size, they were much bigger. So it's kind of hard to interact with, you know, people. Like I had to dance around them. I have all of my senses, so I have to navigate around them because most of them just had peripheral vision, and a lot of times they can only see through the mouth.
So you have to hit your mark, and you have to know where the marks are, and you need to know where you're going, right?
No, they have to hit their mark, and then I have to go around that. Yes.
It's not like if you're old enough to remember when Kermit would sit down with whoever the guest was on the Muppet Show, where they were just sitting there having a conversation and Jim's underneath the table. It's a little,
Or like that, like there was this one that's very funny. It was like Diana Ross was on the Muppet Show. And they had all these kind of weird, sexy, like snake things dance, and there was a whole bunch of them. And yeah, that was very elaborate choreography. So I don't know. It was fun. We tried to do as much just freestyle as we could as far as the live show, and that's kind of what differentiated it, because a lot of live shows were just on a track, and you know, it pretty much was the same way, except for everything I did was live.
Yeah.
So I I could change my responses to them, and we could change things a little bit. But like once the train pulled out of the station, we had to keep going.
Yeah, you're doing. Yeah, I get it.
But it was fun. Most of the time, I didn't really dance with them, except for like if there was a dancey dance and like go crazy. That's when we could, just jump around. But it was always organized chaos.
Right.
Say that.
All right, who's got the next question? Let's go next. Not everybody. Yeah.
So,
What's your name?
My name is Caleb.
Hi, Caleb.
So, Yo Gabba Gabba at what point was big enough to be noticed by other pieces of media, So how do you feel about like your interpretation, like that show's interpretation in a different show for say like South Park?
Oh, that was hilarious, actually. I'm glad I wasn't in that episode, but they left that for Fufa. No, there were so many strange things that happened because it's first and foremost a kid show, but the whole impetus behind it was trying to make a show that parents and kids could watch together. So, there's not really anything wrong with Barney, but that's real. It's a sing-songy, and it is. I mean, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but some people love it.
As a father of a 7-year-old, I understand. It's nice because Bluey has jokes here, and there's two different things going on.
Right.
You can both enjoy it.
Exactly.
Right.
And Barney was just kind of a thing, and so the creators were like, we want to make something that's, we can watch, because everyone was in a band at some point.
Yeah.
And so that's why they wanted to really make it music based. And so, they just thought, okay, Tony Hawk has kids, Travis Barker has kids, Snoop has kids. Like all these people doing different things that you wouldn't necessarily associate with the kid show have kids. So they're probably exposed to that kind of music and culture anyway. So trying to put it into a show. And so that's what we tried to achieve, and then it just took off with some people, and so it was very weird. So we did that, but then we also ended up doing like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. But then we also did Coachella. But then we also did Rock the Bells. Then we also did like Jack Black's Festival Supreme. So like we were in all these other areas. We were on the cover of Relics. I don't know if you know who that is. That's kind of like a jam band, Grateful Dead kind of influence magazine. So we just touched all these different points.
Yeah. It's a cultural phenomenon.
It was, but the focus was the music and just make, because it wasn't like hey, it's a kid show. It's a kid show.
It's a family show, is what
Yeah.
I would say. It's kind of like Pixar, where somebody say this is a kids movie, and I go, no. I think that's degrading, and I don't mean that it's degrading. It's just this is something that's accessible for a 7-year-old and a 25 or 35 or 45-year-old. It's a family.
It's pretty degrading being in a kid show. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
It just has different things. It's just like Mr. Rogers or something like that, but just more contemporary and having that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's up next? Oh my goodness, you guys are really quiet this morning, 11 a.m. Yeah.
So since Yo Gabba Gabba was like really big, right? How did you feel that that Barack Obama also was watching the show too? I know you did a little collab back in the days with him.
I don't know. That was weird. I might as well tell the story since I'm here. So
Please.
In 2010, it's like right before we did Coachella, we went to the White House for their Easter egg roll, which is like in April. It was actually on my birthday. That's why this makes it better. So we were there, and I guess they always have all these different people come. I didn't know that. I've never been to the White House before. And
What? I'm there every other day. I'm joking.
But so we were there, and it was like, oh, there's Reese Witherspoon, and J.K. Rowling was there, and like Bob and Gordon and Louise from Sesame Street were all there, and all these different people, and Justin Bieber was there, and Sarah Bareilles and the cast of Glee. So it was all these people doing this stuff, and it was for the they focused kind of on Sasha and Malia because they were younger, so they wanted to have entertainment for them, and so we were just going to perform. So it was the whole Yo Gabba cast, and we had 2 different sets. But then at the early to start things off, they're like, Sasha and Malia are going to have a bunch of their friends here. Why don't you come out and teach them how to hula hoop? I don't know how to hula hoop. And so this woman's like,
Why did they assume that you knew how to hula hoop?
I think they just wanted me to. I don't know. So this woman came
No
up.
one ever asks me that, by the way. No one ever says, hey, Tubby, come over here and show them hula hoop, but keep going.
But it was, the woman showed me, she's like, this is how you do it. I'm like, I think I can learn this. And we had to get up, and I'm sure you know how it is, like a fall or early spring morning, there's so much condensation on the grass and everything was soaking wet and it was really cold. And you know, that suit, the other suit, like this at least got a little insulation, that other suit didn't at all. So it's super cold, I'm freezing, it's wet. And I have to sit there and start hula hooping with these two women in front of Sasha Malie and all of their friends to single ladies. And it was just over and over. And it was just the biggest, it was just the weirdest experience. It was the weirdest experience. But
I have so many questions to follow up with. And I'm trying to think of things that are appropriate, and I'm so sorry, and I'm going down. But that isn't amazing. You say it's weird, but at any point, are you standing outside of yourself going, this is the President of the United States?
well, he wasn't there yet. He was getting ready to do this announcement and stuff. So this is what's good about it. So we were doing that. It's like, okay, why am I hula hooping now? This is very strange. And then we got done, and then there was a receiving line. So
Yeah.
everyone's waiting to meet the first family, and then they had their dog there, their dog Bo.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure every picture, like he was trained really well, he was looking at the cameraman. But when we got up there, every picture he was faced this way because he was like kept looking at the characters because they're so tall. And
Bo was into it.
Bo was into it. But this was the best moment for me. This is when I'm like, wow, this is something. So we finally get in line and everyone's trying to meet, you know, the president and
Yeah.
Mrs. Obama. And so the characters have handlers and everyone's like, hi, trying to shake hands. And then, you know, they've got these big, you know, glove things, but he's kind of shaking them. And then Plex, you know, the yellow magic robot comes up and he's got like a claw thing. So he was trying to shake hands and they couldn't do it. And then Barack Obama kind of looked at him for a second, and then Plex just started doing the robot. And then without missing a beat, like the leader of the free world just went and just started doing it. That was a pretty cool moment there. This isn't so bad after all.
No, that's the reason I was like, that has to be an amazing experience.
It's
Is that the most starstruck you were ever been?
Gosh, I don't know. I think the first show that we did, live show in Los Angeles, that was terrifying because you just came out there and it was just all of these celebrities and actors with their kids like, oh, there's Jason Bateman, there's Red, like all these people were just looking up, and there was just a moment I almost like wanted to stop because I was like, this is crazy, but you just have to keep going on and on.
Yeah, because you have a job to do.
And the very first Dancey Dance guest that we ever had was Snoop Dogg. So that was so it was just all these different levels,
Yeah.
because when he came out, people lost their minds. Like, what is Snoop doing here? And you know, he has his, you know, his drawl that he does, and he was
Yeah.
like trying to do the peanut butter stuff. He's like, squishy. It was fun.
Who has the next question?
Yes, Rihanna.
I can't help for
No, it's not.
No,
This is why we're
this
here.
is what we're here for. We're here to entertain you.
Absolutely.
Did you ever expect Yo Gabba Gabba and yourself to become a cultural phenomenon
Absolutely
for
not.
generations to look up to?
Absolutely not. We were just along for the ride. We didn't know what was going to happen, and I never would have done this. You know, if it was planned, I wouldn't have done it, and I don't think it would have been successful. It literally just happened. It was probably the right time, but it was the right group of people. It was just the right chemistry, and we just kind of went in there. It's like, okay, we don't know what we're going to do, and they let the door open, so we're going to go in and try something. And you know, because if it was up to us, you know, I don't want to, you know, rag too much on the corporate overlords, but you know, if it was up to Nickelodeon, it would have been a different show. They at first were like, you can't have Snoop and you can't have Leslie Hall. They were like, that's going to scare kids. You know, what are you talking about? Like Biz was like Santa Claus. Kids would just run up and jump in his lap and stuff. And you know, sometimes you'd have, you know, and Leslie wasn't even on tour with us all the time, but you'd always have people come in dressed up like her and stuff, and it was fun.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, it wasn't pre-cosplay, but it was definitely like, it was just coming to shows and seeing people dress up like that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it prepared you for this.
It did.
Yeah, absolutely. Who has the next question?
Yeah.
And then I'll come back to you.
Jacob.
Jacob, hey.
So I have a question from Yo Gabba Gabba. What would you have to say is your favorite song from it?
My favorite song from it? Gosh, there's too many choices. There's way too many choices. What's your favorite song?
I'd have to say it was the one with Andy Samberg, like the one where he did the chomp. That one, Andy Samberg's
When
one.
he did the dancey dance?
Yeah, the dancey dance.
Okay, all right. See, because there's different ones. There's like songs that the characters sing, then there's Super Music Friends, and then there's jingles. So there's all these different ones. So I don't know, my favorite character one, I don't know, Don't Bite Your Friends, I think.
Which is good practical advice.
It is.
It is.
It is.
I wish I could learn it. That's just a joke. But I appreciate the reaction.
Indeed. Super Music Friends, that's a hard one. I can't pick that. And for the jingles, there was 3 of them. There was like, one of the very first ones was called This Is What the Summer Brings. It just was a nice catchy one. But then there's one by this group called Bird and the Bee about if you're gonna cough, cover your mouth, because that's good lesson too. But I think my favorite jingle is the Halloween one.
Yeah.
That's a nice catchy one.
You.
I was going to ask how it was decided that Jack Black would be the only guest that got to wear the DJ Lance costume, like the hat, the jumpsuit, the whole thing.
Well, okay.
That's going to be a good story.
This is a good story. This is as good as the president doing the robot story. So what happened is Jared, the Hesses, who directed Napoleon Dynamite, they were directing him in Nacho Libre. That's why he also ended up getting during Menace on there, who was amazing. He was such a good guy. But they were like, okay, you can have Jack for 6 hours, 7 hours, and he ended up staying like 13 hours or something. That's what was so cool about him, because they kept trying to rush him his people, because he had like a big, Star Wagon band and stuff. And like, okay, Jack's on the schedule, and we're trying to get all these different things. But he really wanted to stay and do it because he and his wife just had a kid, so he wanted to do it for his son. He's like, this is something I can just sit down with him and watch him. We can have a good time. So he really wanted to stay and do it, and that was such a testament, and that really set the tone that he wanted to he was game for doing whatever, and just had a lot of fun with it. But then, the suits, they had a little stretch to them, but not that much. And Jack Black and I are completely different sizes, completely. And so,
In more ways than one.
they got it on there. And so it was like, at that time, I think there was maybe 3 suits that I had. And so they're like, okay, you just try on one of these. And so he puts it on, and they're trying to zip it up, and he rips it completely through the back. And it's like, oh, we're going to have to try to figure this out. And so the seamstress came and made it a little looser. That's why when all of a sudden I'm like, Yo Gabba Gabba, and he changes, he's like, it fits. That was kind of the joke because he had ripped it. But he was just super into just doing the best job as possible. He just made the whole environment really great.
Cool. All right. I forgot where I was at over here. Was it? Oh, we have the next question over here? Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Who was your favorite celebrity that you worked with?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. That's again, like trying to pick your favorite child. There were just so many different ones, and some of the people I didn't really work with, like, Anthony Bourdain was on, but he was like the doctor when Tootie was sick. And so I didn't really interact with him, but then I interacted with him later, and he was like just the nicest guy. And it was really funny because he was like shaking and so nervous. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? You're like places unknown. But again, it was because he wanted to really do a good job for his daughter. So he's like, I just gotta get the lines right and stuff. So he was focused on that. So that's the magic of Gabba. It was like people want to just try to bring the best for the show, for the kids, and to give them, make it inspirational and positive. That's what I like. But I don't even remember who was on the show, to be honest with you. I'm trying to go through the lists and stuff.
But you do these all the time now, and you have to get this question quite a bit, though, right? As far as some of the celebrities and your
My
favorites.
favorite, it's just, there's so many different things because, like, the TV show was one thing. The live show was a whole different thing because we did 6 tours. We
Yeah.
did 6 tours, and then we also, like, were in Australia and Europe. Like, went to other places. But it's hard to pick, you know, like, we did one show in New York where Lauryn Hill came out, you know, and they had to stop the traffic to get her there on time. And it was like down to like 2 minutes. And they're like, okay, we gotta get, you know, Kimber, who played my sister, to go on stage instead. And then at the last minute, like, Lauryn Hill! And so it just, so there was fun things like that, but gosh, I don't know. You know, when we did the Super Music Room, there was all of those people there. And, you know, like, Bootsy Collins played my dad, and that was pretty amazing. But then, like, Questlove's in that episode, and so there's not anybody who was on the set that was a jerk. I'll just put it that way. Everyone came.
Ever.
Not with me.
Really?
Not that I worked with. I think.
I can't say that. The 10 years I've been doing it.
I would say some of the bands, Super Music Friends, there were people in there who didn't have kids, and they're like, oh, why am I doing a dumb kids show? There were a couple of people who were, you know, not into it, but majority of people were really into it, and
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Who is the next question? Yes, ma'am.
How did you come up with the characters?
I didn't come up with the characters. The characters were created by Tristan Jacob and Scott Schultz, and they were cousins, and they were both in bands, and they were just new fathers at the time, and like, ugh, I can't watch any of these shows. So they wanted to make a show. Like, wouldn't it be fun if we just played our music for our kids? So that's when the concept of having more contemporary music. And originally, the DJ Lance Rock character was going to be more like Gene Wilder and Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
And I was like, can't be in a top hat and tails. That's just no way you can move around in that. And so for DJ Lance Rock, I just, at the time, orange was my favorite color. So I was like, let's make an orange suit. And then I just wanted to make it kind of retro. So it was like a jumpsuit and kind of like, you know, Logan's Run Tron. So it had the different colored webbing and stuff like that. And the fuzzy hat just happened to be a friend of mine had this concert hat, and I was like, oh, this looks cool. And I took it in, and then the wardrobe woman just found some material and made it. So I came up with what my character was going to look like, and
So you got a lot of input then.
as far as what I did, but I didn't create.
No,
characters itself.
but not, just so you know, that doesn't always happen in the industry, that you would have that much input on your look.
Well, the show was done before it got picked up by
Right.
a network.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
And that's why we got lucky, because so much of it was already baked in that they didn't make us change that much. But I think the characters were just, you know, one of the creators in the band, the Aquabats, and they're like, you know, a ska band, but they're superheroes and they fight fictional monsters. And a couple of those characters were kind of like started off there, and then they're like, oh, let's take this and develop it into something else. You know, like Broby is, you know, that's like abbreviated for broccoli bean. So it's Broby. That's why it's like, it would be, instead of like yellow and black, it's like the different shades of green. So it's like a broccoli bean. And then they just changed it up a little bit. And,
That's so cool.
yeah, so that's all. It was just people just, you know, bunch of nerds with, you know, they like to collect stuff and just had some ideas, and wouldn't this be fun if we put this together? And we got lucky. Most of this stuff we were able to do.
Yeah. Second, I'm kind of curious because, and it builds off when you just said a bunch of nerds, because the one thing, I'm of course a nerd, and that's how I got into this, that's my personality. But that being said, the thing I do like to ask when I get a chance, it's usually not on stage, but it's after hours or something. What's the buzz? Clearly, what was the thing about music? When did you fall in love with music? Gosh. And what was it? Do you know what I mean? So I'll ask directors, what was the movie? or actors? What was the movie or the show or something like that? Bugged the bee, because I can tell you mine. You know, most of you all, if you're nerdy about something, you're like, oh, this is what it was, and then it led to X, and then Y, and then Z, and then 20 years later, I'm poor.
It was also one of those things where, when it happened, I don't think I was like, I want to do this. Music just was, it was just really cool.
Was it in your house?
It was in my house, yeah. My parents both listened to a lot of music, and I didn't necessarily like what they liked at the time, but now I like more of it. Like my dad was from Memphis, so there was a lot of, a lot of blues and a lot of Hank Williams and a lot of stuff like that. And, I'm glad I was exposed to it now, but at some time I wasn't so crazy. My mom was more like Dinah Washington and Nina Simone and Nancy Wilson and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So we grew up with that. Then we'd also Handel's Messiah, Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
So it was, but there was the radio on, and the radio back when I was a kid, at least, you'd hear, it was more like freeform, so you'd hear all different kinds of stuff. Like today, it's so like specific type of music, and you used to hear everything.
It's like Sirius, I'm only going to listen to the 80s channel, or I'm only going to listen to this, right? And you don't get as much. You have all these options, and you just do the 2 or 3 things that you.
But it was out there, and I did really like Casey Kasem, the American Top 40. I heard a lot of stuff there. But what we would do when I was a kid, we would get up on Saturdays and watch. That's what's so different now. Like you can watch whatever you want anytime. We had to set a clock to that stuff. You could only watch these cartoons at a certain time.
Who are you talking to?
You would get up, and I couldn't get up that early. But if I got up at 7, that would be a good day. But I would usually be like 9. I'm too tired. Get up, you would watch, whatever the cartoons were.
What were some of the ones you loved? Now you're watching two middle-aged men talk about, back in my day, we got up and watched the Pac-Man show.
Oh, Bugs Bunny.
Or Bugs Bunny.
Always loved Bugs Bunny, but a lot of things were reruns, but I didn't know that at the time.
We did know that Bugs Bunny was a rerun at the time, that had been around since the 30s and 40s. No,
absolutely not.
No,
absolutely not. So all of that stuff, really liked,
I know that's a tough one.
The J Ward stuff, like the Rocky Bullwinkle and all of that kind of stuff. I really, really, really liked Underdog for some reason when I was a kid.
Really?
That was like almost my favorite. But then my favorite was probably like, Popeye and stuff like that. That was just he had the funny voice and all that stuff. So there were just all those different things. Like cartoons were just cool. And I just never thought it would be something that was going to evolve into this sort of, community. I don't even know when the first comic convention was. It was in the late 70s probably, or was it earlier?
Well, I think they're probably early. I think the first Star Trek convention was probably sometime in the early to mid 70s, and Comic-Con started. Anybody else in the room? The first San Diego Comic-Con was early to late 70s, early to middle 70s.
Any historians?
No. Jesus, you guys are dead.
Betty or Veronica? Betty. Well, my mom's name is Betty, for one. But, not that I don't like the rich people. I'm just saying, I'm just more down with Betty. We'll just leave it there.
All right, next question.
Yes. Hi, what's your name?
Tyron.
Tyron?
He took a second. Did you forget? Me too.
This question is just to poke fun. Where are you from?
St. Louis?
Okay, because when you made the video on Instagram, I noticed you pronounced the first T in Huntington.
Somebody said that to me. She said that to me.
There's a friend of mine who's in Wisconsin, and I was talking to her on the phone the other day. And I know her from conventions, and she kept saying, "So you're in Huntington?" So I was like, "Okay, I'm in Kentucky, and no one says that." Just like it's Louisville. It's not Louisville. Louisville.
Fair enough. But it's also tomato. And it depends on where you go, because if you travel around, they don't think so, but there's 50 states here. Everyone has an accent if you go and travel.
If you travel, yes, it's a little less different, which actually leads me to my next question.
I've already been told, don't ever say that again. So I got
You're not
duly noted.
I was telling my friend Barbara the same thing. So don't do that. If you're ever in Huntington, just say Huntington. Don't say Huntington. But she goes, "It's Huntington." It's like, yeah, and you said Wisconsin the other day. So It depends on where you're standing. It depends on where you're standing. So,
I know Appalachia, so.
Appalachia, which is me. Now, real quick, when you're doing an international tour, what was the weirdest experience in which country? Where you're like, seriously, everybody knows? You just kind of blown away?
There's none weird, it's just, they're just.
Or just kind of just outside of yourself. Really? We're in Austria and blah, blah, blah.
Well, no, just being, I guess, at the Sydney Opera House, because that's so iconic, and just those shells and stuff like that, and just being there. It was called the Vivid Festival, and what they do is all over the city, they have all these artists doing projections and these light installations and stuff like that, and it was a trip being there. But then we're playing at the Sydney Opera House, and I'm like, I can't believe this. But then, like we were playing there, and like 2 days before, this was like 2010 as well, and then Odd Future's playing there. This is like when they were just started out, and then like The Cure got back together and they did like their first 3 albums in their entirety. I'm like, I can't even, why'd they do that in America? It was just weird just being there, and just, it was a lot to take, because I wanted to see the shows instead of perform.
Yeah, because you're a fan.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was weird. It was just, if I could, I'd move down to Australia, but it's so far away. But everyone was just really chill down there, and how you going? And it was nice. So but it wasn't weird. It was just like I can't believe this is happening.
And weird, not in a bad way. It's one of those existential things where you're standing outside of yourself, going, "Holy shit!" Do you know what I mean? I am standing here, and this is happening. But you're right. Australia's a great country. The bar cart coming around at your work at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, they shut everything down. Friends of mine, they tell me this happens all the time. Doesn't happen at my work.
Hello. It was
Hi.
really nice
Your
meeting
name?
you yesterday.
I'm sorry.
I got it. It was really nice meeting you yesterday. I got a picture with you at the Pullman Square.
At the DJing outside at the Pullman Square.
Yeah, I was standing there the whole time, basically.
Oh, you were the stalker? I'm kidding.
So how was it like making a kids show, and are you happy doing what you do now, or did you prefer a job beforehand?
Oh, definitely happy doing what I'm doing now. It's just, it was like what he asked, like, I think you asked, like, did you know this was going to be a success? And we didn't. And so I think if we knew that, if we went in with those expectations, it would have been a whole different thing. We were just trying stuff out, and some of it ended up taking off, and it's like, wow. And then riding the wave is where it got tricky, because,
Yeah.
Success ruins a lot of things, unfortunately. And it wasn't necessarily that, but it was just, it got.
Talk a little bit about it, can you?
Well, you can talk about a few things. I mean, it's like, we're all of a sudden, we're a kids show. And it's like, oh, we're in Rolling Stones. And I remember, like, somebody was like, I can't believe you got in here before my band did, because they were like an actual band, and like, they just did a whole write-up on us. And
no, that's insulting, saying actual band. Never saying those things. It's fairly insulting. It's not like you're not talented.
well, no, but
Yeah.
Yo Gab Gab was not like a show like, like Banana Split, or the Monkees, where they were being a band. I'm just saying, this is like, Mr. Rogers would not be a singer like he's saying, but it's like, that's all.
Yeah.
I didn't take it that way, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. But no.
A lot of jealousy.
That's the thing again. Some people are like, kid show. But they don't look at the value of what it is. And once things started happening, that's when it's like, there's a lot of responsibility.
Yes.
A lot of responsibility. Like when we were doing the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. That was the craziest one, because that was literally, you're just going down the street, and then you look up and people are screaming, like people are hanging out at every window of every building, and it's a big thing. It's like, wow, all these people know what this is. That was crazy. That was a really surreal experience. But then we got back to the hotel, and then concierge. What's the guy? Not the doorman, but
Concierge.
Yeah. So the main concierge was like, I'm sorry. I never do this. Like, I deal with people all the time. Brad Pitt, all these people. I don't care about anybody. So it's those kind of things. Like, so you people, you don't know who you affect and where it's going to come from. So you just kind of take it in and you're like, okay, that's cool. So I'm sorry I strayed from your question, but I guess my point is that it is super enjoyable. I like what I'm doing now because we had to cut out a lot of the BS. You know, like Nickelodeon just didn't know what to do at the time, and you know they like we're getting all this press from different sort of places in media that we normally wouldn't, so we'll keep you along. But then they were like, okay, we're just going to try to copy your show. We do something different that we don't have to deal with you, but you know. The show kept going because we had a strong live component. And that was the thing. It was like part kid show, part theater, part live commentary. And that was the thing. Like when Biz would come out, like even if the kids did, like they do the beat of the day and then he would just bust into Just a Friend and like the whole, I mean, it was like all these little mini concerts was in one concert, you know? And so it was definitely, that's what I miss is having that kind of magic of seeing the power of music bringing all kinds of people together. So hopefully we'll do that again. I did something right after COVID at Knott's Berry Farm. We did like a summer residency there, and that was good. So hopefully we'll get out. I've been working on stuff, but you know, entertainment business is a trip, man. And like COVID came, then the writer's strike, then the actor's strike. So you know, there's a lot of things that are on the back burner, and hopefully we'll get to put some of them out. But that's why I'm out here now, just because that's the best thing for me is being able to come out and interact with the fans, with people.
Do you have anything to do with the new Yo Gabba Gabba show? The one
I
that
do
just
not.
released on Apple Plus.
Not at all.
We've got a couple more.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
No, you can follow up real quick.
Okay, you want to follow up? Go ahead. I just want to make sure we
I'm
catch
not
up.
gonna. I see.
And we have two more. Yeah.
Do you like any other kids shows? I know you were doing on your set. You were doing some other themes. What about like Cooking by the Book from like Lazy Town?
Lazy Town. See, that was. I feel so bad because I cannot remember his name. Who was the antagonist on?
Lily Rotten.
Yeah, he's the one that passed away, right? Yeah, very sad. We got to work together on True Jackson because that was the crossover episode where, for some reason, he kidnapped Yo Gabba Gabba. So we were stuck there. So we did a crossover. He was a lot of fun to be with, and he was a real nice guy. I like Bluey. I do like Bluey. So yeah, as you mentioned before, because it's a lot of different, and it's Australia.
Yeah, it is awesome.
That's why.
And I did their panel for them at LexCon in March. And I was trying to introduce them, and this is the power that these shows have. Because it's something that I can watch with my 7-year-old, and I literally, tears, and anybody knows me, Joe can cry, didn't know he had tear ducts. It just started crying in front of 500 people about to bring out the cast. And I don't know if you got to meet them when you were in Lexington Comic-Con March or not.
Yes.
And because that's the power when you have a connection between your child and you. It is, back to what you're saying, it is an honor and a responsibility.
100%.
Well, thank you for your time.
Of course, of course.
We have one over here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
When traveling live and going to the international states, did you ever try to learn some of the language so you could speak to the crowd, or did you just have a translator?
We didn't actually go to any non-English speaking countries. We wanted to do a tour in South America, but then it was funny because I got to see some of the shows, and it's dubbed in Spanish there already. So I'm learning Spanish, but yeah.
It's difficult and boring at the same time.
Yeah, I can read it better than I can speak it. I speak in really beginning.
Okay, we got time for just two more.
Oh, okay.
Basically, going back to his question with the new Yo Gabba Gabba show, if you were offered to do a cameo, would you take it up?
Me? No. Can't put. I'm not gonna. I don't really want to say too much about it because I'm not a part of that show. I don't really know anything what's going on with that show. But it's kind of like again, the theme of Nickelodeon. You know, when Blue's Clues came out, they had Steve, and then they didn't have Steve. Whatever reasons are there, I don't know.
Then we had Joe.
I know exactly.
And
And I
then
met
there's
Joe, and Joe.
And they're all three very nice people.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
But I've met Steve and Joe, and they were very nice.
Yeah.
But you know, so yeah, I don't have a connection to it, and so I'm just doing my thing now, and so it just. But I have 4 seasons, and you know, 17 years of things going on, which is awesome, and I just want to come out and you know, see the people.
You don't want to go to your ex-wife's wedding. That's the answer I would give.
Okay. Yes.
You said you grew up in St. Louis. Where do you live now?
St. Louis.
Okay.
But no, I just moved back. Not even a year ago. It was almost a year ago. So I'm back there for some family business. So I'm just going to be back and forth between the West Coast and the Midwest.
Before we go, really quick, do you want to talk about your book and talk about what?
So,
now that you're gonna
so the stuff that I am doing, and
Yeah.
thank you very much, Gail, for that. Is like, you know, we're trying to do more educational stuff, and there's a guy that we met named Jerome Liu, and he's this real cool illustrator, and so we're just working on stuff. So the first book is like just an ABC book, but it's got the ABCs of awesomeness, and you know, there's just different stuff like, okay, so B's for beatbox, you know, something like that, or C's for cat, and you know, just, but you know, keeping it.
And they can stop by your table to get any of these,
Absolutely.
right? Absolutely, and find out all about this. He's going to be here.
Ours for record, you know, just to keep it on brand, and this is the one that's a little obscure, but like T's for turntable, so it's all music and art kind of related, so we're doing this. It's called Reading is Awesome, where we're just trying to do more educational stuff. We're going to hopefully have a new book out before the end of the year, and you know, some of the stuff that we were working on during the pandemic, we're just, you know, it's like, now it's like a jigsaw puzzle, so we're going to try to see what we can put together, but we've got a lot of, you know, new characters and new stuff for the new show, but it's going to be kind of the flip of Yo Gabba Gabba, so that's like a self-contained world, and humans would come into that. This is going to be more out in the real world, and then, you know, fantastical characters will come and interact with us out like that.
Right. So, let's give it up for DJ Lakerock. Please stop by and see him, right?
Yeah.
All right. Please stop by. Thank you so much, Huntington.
Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you, guys.